Hey there. Welcome to episode 2 of Subject to Change. My name is Jim Woods. I am excited to get into this content. I presume you listened to the first episode, which was pretty serious, pretty on point. I felt like I had a lot of big things to express, and I wanted to be precise. So while that's out of the way, we're going to try a different form for this episode. I'm actually walking along the beach. If you hear the waves in the background, imagine you're walking here with me. It's quite beautiful. The sun just set. The moon is up. It's a sliver crescent, 2 days past the new moon. The sky is blue and green and yellow, and there's a deep red from where the sun just set. It's really a great place like this to think about life and think about death. I think it's actually very important for every person to think about those concepts, as heavy and as scary as they may be. So today's episode, we're going to be talking about life and death, and particularly trying to find meaning in life and death. I'm excited to share how I think about these concepts with you. And so a quick agenda, we're going to do a quick thought experiment together about living forever, and then we're going to discuss what I refer to as the 3 dark truths. We'll kind of have a conclusion from those 3. And then the third part, so we're going to do the thought experiment, the 3 dark truths, and then we're going to do a visual metaphor of light and dark. And I'm going to try and make this as quick as I can. Would love to hear your feedback. So the first thought experiment I wanted to just run through together was contemplating death being the end of life. Like, what if there wasn't a death? What if you could live forever? What would that be like? And just kind of trying to imagine how society, how the world, how life would be different into that scenario. And I guess just even trying to translate it from where we are today, first ask, would people stop aging? Would everyone just freeze right now? Or in some hypothetical, would everyone stop aging at a certain age, at 40 or at 80, or do people age forever? How do our bodies hold up? How do our minds hold up? I'd also wonder, like, would we still continue to have children? If people aren't dying, are people still being born? If that wasn't the case, I think that's already a deal killer for me. But we'll continue through the thought experiment. But so would people continue to have children if we did continue to have children? Would the population just grow and grow? Would that lead to issues forever, for infinity? If people, if we're talking about it over an infinite time scale, which is the goal of living forever, I suppose. Would it be a high quality life, low quality life? Would it be more or less fair than our world is today? I don't know. Like, I'm not, this is all hypotheticals and science fiction, but I feel like a big part of the way society and frankly the world and the universe and all of nature progresses is through a cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. And I think having children is a beautiful thing. And I think that's how humans have done it. And there's beauty in that cycle. And so I think about, what would I do with an infinite life? What would you do with an infinite life? If you were never going to die, you could waste an infinite amount of time doing nothing. Or, what would motivate you to do something now? What would you hope to accomplish with your infinite amount of life? What would you hope to accomplish that you couldn't hope to accomplish with your finite amount of life? I actually think that is kind of a key insight here. Figure out what's most important to do with your finite life and then pursue that. That was just kind of a science fiction detour, imagining the thought experiment, what would happen if you could not die? For many different reasons, that sounds very dystopian to me. I confidently choose death. I think there's beauty in death, beauty to be found. That sentiment actually leads us into the first of the 3 dark truths. The first dark truth is that everyone is going to die. This is an inevitable burden that comes with consciousness. The ability to be self-aware and to be alive comes with an awareness, a self-awareness of your own mortality. That's a scary fact that every one of us wrestles with. But beneath that fact is the truth that every one of us is going to die. And that's the first dark truth. The second dark truth is that you don't know when you're going to die. Every one of us hopes we pass at 80 or 100 in our sleep comfortably at an old age. But we're not all going to go out that way. None of us are entitled to go out that way. None of us are entitled to even to tomorrow. Nothing is a given when it comes to life. Being alive is a miracle, in my opinion. There's no guarantee of tomorrow. So the first dark truth is everyone dies. The second is you don't know when you're going to die. And the third is, this is the most controversial, there's no evidence of an afterlife or rebirth. I am entirely open-minded to all discussions about what happens after we pass. I'm actually very open-minded to the idea of a collective consciousness, that we're all part of some field, we're all manifestations of something bigger. I am very open-minded, but in terms of evidence of a heaven or of an afterlife, or of being reborn and remembering your prior existence, there is no credible evidence among us of those happenings. And so while that's a distinct possibility, the dark truth is that there's no evidence of any of those things. And so the fact that everyone's going to die, you don't know when you're going to die, and this is all you got, these three dark truths independently are some of the heaviest truths we can deal with. But collectively, together, they highlight something brilliant, that life is finite and you are alive now. The fact that you can even contemplate those truths means that you are alive at this moment. Life is but a series of nows. Life is lived in the present. And in this moment, you are alive. The realization about the finiteness of life does risk nihilism. I think humans are always at risk of nihilism. Nihilism being the lack of ability to find meaning in anything. Someone totally devoid of meaning is under nihilistic thinking. It's frankly one of the darkest things that can happen to a human. But I actually think there's tremendous meaning to find in a finite life. We just previously described how an infinite life is something highly undesirable. Within a finite life, I actually think there's exceptional beauty to be found. I have this visual metaphor I like to think about that represents life and death. It uses light and dark. I think about the time before I was born. I don't have any memory. It was just infinite nothingness, infinite darkness. It wasn't bad. It wasn't painful. It was just nothing. For forever in all directions. And that's the infinite darkness in this metaphor. And then when I was born, my light turned on. Within that pitch dark universe, my light brilliantly shined, beaming in all directions. That is me now, alive, shining brilliantly. And while my light shines today, I know, as we just discussed with the three dark truths, one day too soon, my light will turn off, and my final rays will shine and fade into the infinite darkness, one day soon to be forgotten. And if the story ended there, it would be a tragedy. But you see, I am not alone. I am but just one. For all around me, turning on and off, are billions of lights, shining brilliantly in all directions. Billions of lights, propelling, progressing forward into the future, an infinite future. And so while my life may be finite, light itself may persist forever. And I realize that while my light will soon turn off, while I am a light, I can help to shine the way forward. Suddenly, the meaning of my life becomes life itself. Life is something we are all part of. The fact that we are alive today means we are part of this brilliant stream of light shining into the future. And it begs the question, what did you accomplish while you were on, while your light did shine? This is directly about the topic of legacy. Legacy is what you leave behind. And legacy can take many different shapes. It can be being a parent. It can be being a teacher. It can be being a good son or daughter or father or husband or wife, a good friend, a good neighbor, a good community member. Legacy is about what we give, not about what we take. Because we can't take anything with us. Okay, I'm going to try and land this plane. I very much appreciate you listening. This episode kind of went off the rails, but I feel like we did a good job of going through the thought experiment about living forever, talking about the three dark truths, revealing the finiteness of life, and then my little visual metaphor about light and dark, with a little bonus opinion on legacy at the end. I very much appreciate you listening. Many more ideas to come. Thanks very much.